Hello everyone, welcome to Primetime Recaps. Please like and subscribe to support the channel. It will make us happy and help us keep making videos like this. Today I'm going to be explaining an American superhero film titled, My Super Ex-Girlfriend, released in the year 2006. Warning! Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins in the city of New York, as we see a questionable black vehicle and a man who is wearing all black, looking very serious. The peaceful street is thrown into disorder, as we see some armed men who are robbing a jewelry store, as they're obviously causing the security guard pain, by beating him up. They get away with everything that they can and rush out into the car, attempting to leave swiftly, before the police arrived. Unbeknownst to them, the super powerful lady is heading their way, and before they can celebrate the success of their mission, the car is lifted into the air as the Supergirl takes the vehicle across the sky and places it just in front of the police station. The superhero flies away into the air, as everyone is applauding their heroine, who is also called G-Girl. The broadcast on the newspaper shows the Superwoman wonderful deeds, and this gets the attention of Matthew as well as his best friend, Vaughn, who seems like he has trouble simulating for about few seconds. As they see a beautiful lady that appears to be a conservative librarian and who looks very spontaneous in the bedroom, their little chat gets interrupted. His friend encourages Matthew to flirt with the lady, trying every means possible to make him embarrass himself in order to entertain everyone. As Matthew attempts to begin a conversation, he only gets a despiteful stare and a big no, before he could completely woo her. However, prior to the completion of the embarrassment, a purse snatcher steals the woman's purse and runs swiftly towards the door, but Matthew closely pursues the thief hastily as he rushes past the people on the station and makes it onto the streets. Matthew tends not to relent, because he feels the aftermath of getting the criminal will be worth it. Finally, the purse snatcher runs into a car which aids him to escape, as Matthew eventually gets the lady's bag, as he starts taunting the criminal and acting like he's a superhero. Nonetheless, the criminal actually returns back due to the insult Matthew poured on him, but this makes him realize that he's not better than a coward. Whilst running away like a true weakling, the guy notices a garbage bin and jumps in like a mammal, but the thief starts hitting the garbage container continuously. He jumps out from hiding as he prepares to fight, but he only sees Jenny, who looks very perplexed by the man's choice of weapon in fighting. Matthew holds up the purse like he just won a ticket to life, but he eventually gets to know her name, which turns out to be Jenny, and to show appreciation, she agrees to have dinner with him later that night, but we clearly realize that the woman is the superhero G-Girl, as she hangs the thief on the stairs, and leave him there. Matthew arrived back to his place of work, at the architectural firm, where a very attractive woman named Hannah, obviously has a crush on him, but it clearly shows that he feels the same way towards her. While glancing at her buttocks, their boss walks in at the wrong time and exposes Matthew as his secret pervert. As planned that night, Matthew makes it to his date with Jenny. While they're conversing, they swiftly divert the topic to something else, even though the woman guarantees him that she's very conservative. Their unpleasant conversation is immediately cut short, as soon as Jenny starts hearing police sirens around the place. Immediately she excuses herself to the bathroom, and this leaves Matthew baffled and thinking if she noticed that he quietly polluted the air underneath the table. Matthew puts a call through to his friend to aid him solve the problem at hand, but apparently his friend is very distracted as he sees the burning buildings on the streets. All of a sudden, Jenny appears in the sky and starts spinning in great speed, like a giant tornado that quenches all the fire away from the building. Even though G-Girl is now covered in black dust, she swiftly finds a way to return back to her date, while everyone appraises the Supergirl. After being away for a long while, Jenny gets back to the restaurant and continues her date with Matthew, but he notices a blur mark on her face that wasn't there before that time. As a means of changing the topic, Jenny decides to show him just how liberal she can be. Later that night, they began smooching and kissing, then the lady immediately climbs Matthew as if he's a wood, as they head to the bedroom in order for Jenny to show him her best way of having fun. Unknowingly to the duo, a funny-looking bird is spying outside their window. As it turns its creepy robotic eyes, it shows that the drone is broadcasting everything happening towards a mysterious frustrated man, who obviously have pleasure in not minding his business and getting involved in other people's privacy. They prepare to get into their bedroom to have fun, as Jenny rips off his cloth literally and throws away his pants without looking. Things turns out to be more weird as Jenny tells him that she wants to be the one on top, and begins rocking her bedroom like an earthquake and thereby smashing the bed into the wall. Matthew tends to endure this very aggressive way of making love, but it only becomes more frightening as the lady smashes the bed into pieces. As the next scene opens, we see Matthew on his way to work like he is in need of a very good body massage, but the pleasant smile from his face shows that the injury was all worth it. Nonetheless, his excitement is cut short, as his celebration quickly ends when some mean corrupt gangsters carry him into a car where he meets the peeping man we were introduced to. It turns out that the name of the man is Barry, and he wants to know everything about Matthew's new girlfriend. Matthew refuses to pass any information across about Jenny, and this causes the hoodlums to tie him upside down on the Statue of Liberty and blackmailing G-Girl. Meanwhile, the ropes on Matthew's foot finally untie as it drops him towards the ground, but the superhero manages to catch him right in time as she carries him across the sky. The hoodlums use the opportunity to break into Jenny's apartment like guys who have nothing worthwhile to do. They approach Jenny's bathroom to collect her hair in order to continue Barry's mysterious plan. Matthew interrogates Jenny after being saved by the superhero, in order to find out why a guy like that is asking for her details, and just then, Jenny realizes that she can't keep on hiding her secret identity anymore. Soonest, she offers Matthew a chair and begins taking off her clothes in front of him, and finally removes her wig as well, but in no time, he realizes that she's the one who saved him earlier. Jenny informs him that Barry used to be her friend while in high school, and they gradually fell in love as the day goes by. On a fine night, the duo saw a giant asteroid that flew across the sky, and they went to observe it, only to see a massive glowing rock on the ground that was surrounded by flames. They decided not to call the police, as Jenny moved closer to touch the object using her hand, which led to the rock exploding into a million pieces. Miraculously, the duo was not injured by the explosion, but Jenny's body starts to change surprisingly, especially spots like her God-given gift. Jenny automatically becomes popular with all the kids but started ignoring her boyfriend. Moreover, she started dating the most handsome boy in the school, but Barry felt really hurt as he cried. Back to the room, Matthew is now aware that his girlfriend is actually a superhero. He then comes up with some funny fantasies, as Jenny rushes to change into her Jingles costume. She moves towards her boyfriend. As she prepares to give him a treat for being a bad boy, she grabs onto Matthew like a stick as they fly into the sky. Jenny hovers over the tallest buildings and then she instructs him to perform his duty under such condition. They start dropping towards the ground speedily. As they fly across the buildings and head onto the streets, they get people scared for them, while rushing across the sky. Meanwhile, Barry is in the lab experimenting on the hair he stole from G-Girl, as it turns out to be nearly indestructible, breaking the saw blade, and almost killing his thugs. He then takes out a stone that appears to suck out all the energy away from the hair, which nullifies the superpowers as he easily cuts the material into pieces. After a while, we see Matthew and Hannah supervising a construction site, and he observes a splinter on his finger, but Hannah just quickly offers to use her mouth to suck the blood out from his fingers, displaying her skills, which shows that it can be useful in the other room as well. Just immediately, Jenny witnesses all that happened between the two, as she continuously follows Matthew like a very jealous girlfriend and immediately marks her territory by kissing him. He attempts to fix the situation by inviting Hannah and her boyfriend to a double date, and the ladies concurs. Later that night as they gather, Hannah's boyfriend decides not to show up, making Jenny to see her as a serious rival. As she continuously stares at her, it all takes a terrible turn when the broadcast on the news shows a runaway missile that's heading towards the city. The news makes Jenny excuse herself from the restaurant as she leaves in anger. The people are already looking hopeless, but G-Girl comes up in the news and deflect the missile away from the town, which makes the people to cheer joyfully, as she came to their rescue. As they're celebrating, Matthew hugs Hannah, but unfortunately, Jenny witnessed this from outside the restaurant, causing her to feel emotional pain. Jenny attempts to make Matthew confess his feelings towards Hannah, but the guy tries to deny it, and this only makes her even more furious, as she smashes the window of his car into pieces. Jenny confesses to Matthew that she's deeply in love with him, but this revelation only makes him more scared of her, as he now understands that he is in great danger. Later on that night, after getting really tipsy, like he's about to commit suicide, Matthew summons up the courage to break up his relationship with Jenny. He swiftly realizes that he might have mixed up the conversation, as he glances at the woman's kitchen knife, but he soon understands that the weapon shouldn't be his worries. Jenny flips the table towards Matthew and uses her superpowers to blow the guy away, but this time it isn't looking funny at all, as she unleashes her anger by turning his goldfish into sashimi. Luckily, Matthew quickly saves his pet from the boiling water and throws it into the sink. Before leaving through the air, Jenny promises that she will come back for her revenge, as she leaves a giant hole on the roof. Matthew thinks of his next plan. The following day, as Matthew gets to work, he informs Hannah about his ordeal with Jenny and the breakup, but before he is able to profess his love for the lady, his crazy ex-girlfriend shows outside the window, as the guy pushes Hannah down to save her life. The Supergirl flies away from the building, but his ever-lively manager sees this and begins to even blast Matthew more. Fortunately for him, he gets a phone call from the security who notifies him that his car has been stolen in a very absurd way, which left a giant hole in the garage. Later that night, as Matthew is preparing for his presentation, immediately all the lights turn off as Jenny crashes into the building through the same roof that Matthew just fixed. She moves towards the telescope and shows Matthew her recent work of arts, and then he realizes that his car is currently floating in space, with few designs on the side of the car. Matthew becomes filled with rage towards the girl, and reminds her that she's a crazy girl, which makes Jenny injure the guy's face, before leaving the roof in anger. As he tries to regain his balance, the guy looks in the mirror and is astonished to see his forehead looking very awful. The next day, he is left with no choice than to attend the presentation wearing a hat, but before Matthew starts his speech, he sees a shadow flash by the window and his face turns completely white, as he starts having a threatening feeling about the whole presentation. The superhero rushes to the building and enters into the room, as she causes confusion by flipping papers into the air. As soon as it all settles, the people glances at Matthew astonishingly, as he stands naked in front of all his clients and his boss, which results him to getting fired by his boss. Matthew is pushed into leaving the building like he is a lunatic. Hannah feels really sorry for him, and so she invites him over to her place. Luckily for Matthew, the lady also just broke up with her boyfriend recently, because she caught him cheating on her with multiple women. While trying to comfort his friend, he also reveals that he has always had feelings for her, and this results to Hannah passionately kissing the guy as they fall onto the ground. He is eventually able to have fun in the bedroom without breaking his hips like earlier on with Jenny. They get disrupted quickly as they hear someone shouting from hillside. Matthew moves to open the blinds only to see his ex-girlfriend attack him with a great white shark, as it breaks through the window, and then inside the room. He runs desperately for his life, as the animal nearly bites off his private part, but Matthew is able to dodge the shark's attack, which causes it to crash out on the streets. They realize the seriousness of the case at hand, and he tells the lady to leave the country immediately as he quickly leaves the room, leaving the lady in complete confusion. Fed up, Matthew decides to visit Barry in his house, in order to ask the man for assistance, but he unexpectedly discovers a shrine inside the man's room, which shows his secret continuous adoration of Jenny. Nonetheless, he is quickly pulled out by one of the guy's thugs, as Barry swiftly comes in to close the room. Following this, Matthew pleads with the guy to aid him stop his crazy ex-girlfriend, and Barry shows him the large asteroid which can completely neutralize G-Girl's powers. He adds that what they only need to complete the task is a weakling who Jenny will never feel threatened with, so as to lure her in the crowd. As the next scene opens, Matthew walks up to the lady as he carries flowers and begs for her forgiveness, adding that he still has feelings for her. After a while of examining the main character like a prodigal son, G-Girl eventually pardons him immediately, and proceeds to have another date while Matthew is hoping that it won't turn bad. Later that night, Jenny goes to his apartment for a candle-lit dinner, as she's astonished to see all the preparations and arrangements he made, especially the special gift he kept on the table. The duo starts having dinner, while Barry views everything from the parking lot, but what they fail to realize is that Hannah is also looking for Matthew. Just immediately, the lady walks in on her boyfriend and sees Jenny sitting on Matt's laps. He tries to explain what just happened, but instead he ends up getting the ladies enraged the more. It all takes a new turn as his friends decides to show up unannounced from nowhere. As the two ladies attempts to get into a fight, this results to Hannah ripping off Jenny's wig, thereby revealing her true identity as Supergirl. Matthew tries to put an end to the fight by shouting at his friend to open the box, and he quickly takes out the present. The stone starts to absorb all G-Girl's energy, but Matthew continuously apologizes, which finally makes the Supergirl to fall on the ground. Barry also rushes into the building as he starts making mockery of Jenny for losing her powers, but this only shows that the man loves talking too much, and this eventually made Matthew and his friend to stop them. Jenny uses the opportunity and attempts to regain her powers, but Hannah intervenes to stop her, which causes a huge explosion that throws the lady away from the building. Before they can save Hannah from the fall, the Supergirl finally regains her powers and rises into the air, while forcefully striking Matthew that made her to crash onto the ground. As Jenny is about to completely finish him off, Hannah unexpectedly reappears from the building, having also been exposed to the meteorite and gaining the same superpower as G-Girl. The two clash into each other as they fight angrily in the sky. Hannah pushes Jenny onto a car, but she is able to stop it immediately as she tosses Hannah away and make her crash into the billboard. Luckily, Hannah rapidly regains balance as she flies towards the ground and grabs a street sign, before knocking away the lady into the cars. This only gets Jenny more furious, as she holds a car and throws it across the street, which didn't hit the people by chance as it smashes into the store. The ladies start to spin into powerful twisters as they both crash towards each other and turn into the most perilous catfight in human history. They finally land into a fashion show while everyone watches them astonishingly. The fight rapidly ends as Matthew informs them that they're scaring the people. He apologizes to Jenny for the way their relationship ended, as he tells G-Girl that she deserves the best and a better person, and the person has always cherished her. Matthew reveals that Barry has always loved her despite what happened in the past. He adds that he's sure because he made a shrine in his home for her. Jenny is astounded to hear this, as she demands to hear the truth, and Barry eventually tells her that he only wanted to absorb her powers away so that she can love him again. She is softened by his words, then she embraces him passionately as the spectators cheer in celebration. Matthew and his girlfriend use the opportunity to leave the show. The duo decides not to waste time in trying out new skills in bed using her new-gotten superpowers, as the lady knocks the bed towards the wall, which eventually breaks into another person's apartment, that eventually turns their bed into something else. As the movie ends, Matthew and his girlfriend are about to go to work, and they're astonished to see Jenny and Barry, who eventually decides to bring back Matt's car from outer space as a way of apologizing. Nonetheless, the ladies hear cries for help around the neighborhood and they transform to their superhero clothes, before taking off to tackle the emergency. Matt and Barry are left holding their girlfriends' bags and clothes. I hope you liked the movie. Please turn on the bell icon to be the first to watch videos when we post contents like this. You can also suggest a movie you'll love us to explain in the comments section. Thanks for watching.